All right. As far as I know, we should be live now. Assuming I didn't screw anything up.
I can check over here. We got
All
to
right, sweet.
throw
Someone's
the
watching.
link into every Discord.
Yeah. I didn't want to spam it too much. I was like, that's just people I actually like hang with. Wasn't trying to be like, annoying. There you go. Thanks for reminding everybody. I meant to do that like 15 minutes away, everybody. Like, sign on. I just hope it is not like 0 people.
Yeah, it's
be like 4. Like, I'm cool with like 3 people showing up. I don't care. I just don't want it to be 0.
Yeah, it's kind of. I used to like stream video games and stuff on Twitch. Man, I would just stream myself for hours.
You're not alone on that. There's a lot of people on Twitch doing that. And then next thing
I
they
wish
know,
someone
they got
would
like
show
10K
up here.
People. Got to start somewhere on Twitch.
It started to take off a little bit because I started doing like TikTok during the quarantine and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And I had like multiple TikToks with like 100,000 views, like Call of Duty and stuff like that. And then I just stopped playing games. So
yeah, that's tough. Video games are their own thing. Like, it's a tough hobby to balance with something like reading.
Yeah.
Especially if you like, my biggest video game in the last like 5-10 years has been Rocket League, and I can go in phases where I like really like it for a few months, and then I rage quit and swear it off forever.
Yeah.
But it's like you can sign on for an hour and play like 4 games and like feel satisfied. But it's been tough for me to stick with like games like The Witcher and like games that you have to put like hundreds of hours into. And like, it takes like 4 hours to get a good session. Those games are tough for me to balance with reading because that's like that time I could spend reading.
Yeah, every time I like boot up a video game, I feel almost guilty. I'm like, it's okay that I do this because I like to do this too. And then I'm like, but I could be reading.
Stockholm syndrome to reading. Yeah, I have the same feeling. In fact, I got the new Zelda game on the first day it came out and played it like a lot the first few weeks. And then it's like started to get back to reality. I was like, oh man, like the TBR is looking kind of long. Like,
right.
I'm way behind. Like, all right, I'm going to just like play for an hour and then read. And it's like I haven't played in like a month. And I love the game. Like, there's nothing wrong with the game. It's just now other hobbies are taking precedence, and that's reading. Literally only reading.
Start getting into this community and into the Discords and stuff, and people are posting 20 book wrap-ups.
I'll never do that.
Like I gotta keep up.
It's not like competitive in the sense that people are trying to like. Nobody wants to be the guy who read the most. I don't think anybody aspires to that. But when you see people you interact with reading that much, you're like, I could do that. Like, I'm gonna try to do that because why not? Because there's so many good books, and it's like, why not read more? But yeah, I'm like solid 4 books a month, and that's like full-time audio, like 1 audiobook and full-time reading. Like, I don't know how people put out 8 books a month only reading. Like, I just don't have time for that.
Yeah, I don't know how people do that. I'm at like 50 books this year.
Nice.
But I've only read like 10 physically. So like eyeballs only. It's either immersion or full audio.
Got it. Yeah. Last year I got really into, I guess you call it immersion, where I was doing books on audio, like on the car, and then I'd get home and pick up the book with audio and actually read the book too. And I get through a single book way faster that way, obviously.
Yeah.
But something this year, I have my brain and when I'm listening and when I'm reading are just not synced up, where I'll be hearing what I'm seeing and seeing what I'm hearing, but like my brain literally will be like, I just missed a sentence somehow. Like, I have to go back and pause the audiobook and go back and read it. So I'm reading Winter King right now, and you guys inspired me to start the audiobook, and I was trying to do immersive, and I just couldn't do it. So what I'm doing now is listening to the audio pretty much anytime I can, and then when I sit down to actually read, I just don't use the audio because it actually takes longer. When I first started immersion reading, I could put it on like 2.5x, and I was like burning through pages.
Yeah.
And that is just, I don't know what it is. My brain just can't handle it anymore.
That's literally me with this book, Return of the Crimson Guard. I mean, it's not a short book.
Right.
And I'm about halfway through it.
Right.
I think it's kind of like a combination between I'm trying to immersion read it, and there's like 1,000 characters.
Uh,
So I'm like, I don't know where anyone's at. I've missed so much stuff, but whatever.
and that's supposed to be like a really key Malazan book, right?
Yeah, it's like the Bone Hunters sequel, like a direct
But it's
sequel to
not in the
Bone
main
Hunters.
10.
No.
Okay, gotcha. Well, then if you're lost, then it sounds like it's a real Malazan book.
Yeah, right?
Dude, I think, do I have comments turned off somehow? Again, this is my first time doing this. It says YouTube doesn't support comments on private videos. Did I not make this public? There's no way I did.
Hold on, let me see.
There's no way. It says it's live on my channel.
Oh, I see. I can see comments like if I actually go to YouTube, but it's not coming up on StreamYard.
Oh, that's weird. Shoot, sorry. Not ignoring anybody, guys.
Kai's here, Evie's here, Shad,
Oh, sweet. All right. Yeah, there we go.
Jimbo.
All right, I guess I'm going to have to like keep a separate window open and mute us. Yeah, so it's not like... Then I can actually... yeah, why is it not showing up for me? Not a great start first time using StreamYard. Let me see if I refresh them. Is it? They're not showing up for you, are they?
No.
What the hell? All right. Well, I say we go into a sprint, and while everyone's reading for the first little bit, I'll figure that out, and then at the end of the sprint, we can resume with normal comments.
All right, I'm starting
Picking up.
starting Tommy Knockers.
Oh Lord! All right.
I just finished a pretty good sci-fi book right here, so I'm gonna read an even better sci-fi book.
More legendary, more epic.
Uh-huh.
All right.
No tentacles in Lightbringer. So
no tentacles. Well, then you're missing out. Clearly, I don't know what Pierce Brown's thinking. So what do you think is a good time for a sprint? Half hour?
half hour, 45 minutes,
All
something
right,
like
we'll start
that.
with the half hour. Let's see if I can get this. Say 8, 10. Or say just 10 because I don't know what time zone people are in. All right. Happy sprinting. All right. Now I can see comments, so that's great. Hey, Usman, reading Becoming a Druid. I haven't heard of that, but I'm currently reading The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell, and there's lots of druids in it, and I definitely am also a fan of druids, so I'll have to check that out. Jimmy, for this, I just ate Indian food. All right, that counts. That's it's an activity. It's good to concentrate and eat it as fast as you can. I'm sure. Hope it was good. I've actually barely eaten Indian food ever, so can't really say too much about it. Ryan's here. Kevro Albarca. Yeah, that sounds about right. I don't know what that means. I know it's Red Rising related.
Probably help if I unmute my mic, right?
That's Red Rising, right? All the last names are like Ow something.
Yeah.
Okay, I kind of remember that from the first trilogy.
There's Ow and T and I don't know. There's a couple of them.
Nice. Snazzy Moose. I ate leftovers and got to 39% into A House with Good Bones. Haven't heard of that one. Sounds like a good name for like a haunted house horror book. If that's what it is, I'll be very thrilled. Need to take you to Royal Taj. It's phenomenal. I'd love to. I want to try Indian food. Both me and my wife are like, we've tried a lot of different types of food now. Where we live, there's a lot of good Korean food. We love that. Like, we haven't tried Indian food yet, so I got to go get, what is it, like tikka masala? Is that Indian food? And like butter chicken, is that? I don't know. But I want to try it sometime. Shot, I read 20 pages. Nice. I think I read like 10-ish.
I got 17 done, so it's pretty good.
Nice. I'm just glad I figured out how to get the comments on. I was worried I'd spend half the sprint trying to figure it out, but it was actually very easy.
You just refresh?
No, it was like if you go up to the top and it says edit, I just had never set this stream to public, only public on YouTube. That's my neighbor, yes. In general terms of, relating to people across the world and like Australia, New Zealand, I am literally Jimmy's neighbor in that regard when really we live about like 20 minutes from each other. But in the grand scheme of planet Earth, we're basically next door neighbors if you want to look at all the other people that we hang out with around here. It's light horror, written by T. Kingfisher. I enjoy writing it. I've heard of that author. I can't think of any of the other books by them. I love Indian food. Shad, tell me what to get. I want to try it. So, Kev, did you just start Tommy Knockers?
Yeah.
That was the first 17 pages.
Uh-huh.
Got how was it to start? Weird already, or just kind of normal King start?
Not yet. It's kind of a normal King start. He's oversharing a lot of things.
I like he does best.
Yeah, already
diving into a character's head and past. And,
already getting into some weird sexual stuff.
Of course,
right out the gate.
Cy King. Yeah, this is before he started ripping lines in the middle of the writing of it, where I hear it gets pretty insane.
Yeah,
I can't wait to. I wonder if it'll if I'm going to get some talisman reactions from you if it's as weird.
Oh, I hope not, because
maybe a different kind of weird.
I still haven't finished that book.
I'm going to read it. Honestly, one thing that made me want to read it was because it's by Peter Straub and I like ghost stories. So I'm like, let's see what he did with King. And I found Black House at the thrift store. So I was like, all right, well, now I have that. I got to read Talisman. But also, a bigger reason why I want to read it is just to understand your reaction. Because I've rarely seen anybody have as strong a reaction to a book, good or bad, as you had to the Talisman.
Well, I also like Ghost Story.
Okay.
That was Straub's redemption for me after Talisman. But just, I don't know, dude. I know Ben and Tanner like Talisman, but I think they might be the only ones ever.
Okay.
So, Yeah, it's bad.
Okay. Is it actually horror or is it just like weird fiction?
It's fantasy.
More
It's like
fantasy.
it's
Okay.
like it's yeah, it's like Portal fantasy,
Okay. All right.
but
I don't know when I'm gonna get
not
to it,
Dark
but
Tower though.
not like Dark Tower. Okay.
Yeah,
Um, I didn't like Fairy Tale, and that was Portal
neither
Fantasy
did I.
kind of.
Yeah,
That's the only book I've DNF'd since I started like reading again, like this, like consistently. I finish almost every book I start. Like I really don't DNF often. I think it's because I know my tastes. Like I know I rarely pick up a book that I don't like off the bat, but I DNF'd Fairy Tale and never looked back. And haven't thought about it, never like regretted it, never thought about it again. And of all authors, I did not think it'd be King that would make me do that.
yeah. I finished Fairy Tale, but I think if you look at my Goodreads review, I'm pretty sure I said that I wanted more Dark Tower and less Talisman. So that
Oh
tells you a little
wow.
something.
Okay. So there is some talisman in it. Okay. Yeah, I think my expectations when I saw the name of it, Fairy Tale, I expected some weird king, and I ended up, well, at least what I got was like literally like kind of like a fairy tale in some ways. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to come from all the fantasy we read and then see King try his hand at it in a much more like straightforward, simple kind of way. I mean, maybe if you didn't read fantasy, you'd love it, but I guess it just depends.
Yeah, there was like a whole section of Fairy Tale, like in the second half. It was just like maybe some of the worst stuff I've ever read.
All right, and then I even more don't regret. There's one part
It's
that I got to in it that was like something that I thought was like gonna keep me going, and it got resolved way earlier in the book than I thought, and I was like, oh, that's that. Like we're at like 46%, and that's solved. I don't really. I'll tell you later on like Jimmy's Discord or something what it
yeah.
was, but I was like, I really have no desire to read this book, and I also just want to point out what Jimmy just said. He thought Fairy Tale was going to be Furry Tale. Imagine my surprise. I'd be disappointed
You would,
too.
Jimmy. Yeah. Now, if Stephen King wrote some furry books, I'm down. I'm in there. Actually, no, because Talisman kind of is. So I take that back.
Okay. I was going to
take that back completely.
I was going to say if Stephen King had his like weird days that he had in like the 80s, like his weird streak, if that happened in the 2020s, there'd be some furry shit in there.
Listen,
like if you modernized Weird King.
Small spoiler alert, there's a werewolf in Talisman.
Okay.
So he kind of did do some furry shit.
All right. Well, now I just want to read it all the more, so thank you for that. You really got me excited.
No, he's really fucking annoying. like every other word he says is wolf.
Like that's his his thing is like, oh, he's a werewolf who says wolf.
Shtick. Yeah, he's
like
always
Pokemon, like Pikachu can only say Pikachu.
He's like, oh my god, Jack, wolf. I'm like, dude.
Okay, now I don't know if I want to read Talisman, man. Okay, you're screwing me over here. All right, I got to see what the hell's going on. All right, I'm hoping it'll probably be next year. But Frank Muller does the audiobooks. That's kind of my driving force. Although I did Frank Muller's audiobook for different seasons, and I swear it was still really good, but it was not the same cadence that he had in Dark Tower in a way. Like he kind of sounded younger, which might make sense because I think different seasons came out in the 80s. But it felt like a different narrator overall than like the Dark Tower, like when it starts in book 2 and he has like a rhythm to his telling of the Dark Tower. He didn't have it in different seasons, but it was still really good narration.
Yeah, I don't know, you might not like the Talisman one then.
I'll give it a try.
It sounds like every sentence he reads is like a question.
Oh God. Okay.
I'm like, what are you doing? Why is every sentence a question?
Finished Fairy Tale. I thought it was fine. I haven't yet read Talisman. Yeah. That's the beauty of King. Always more to read. Unless you're Kev, who's now read like half his books. More than half, right?
I think I'm at like 35 or 36 right now. So yeah.
Total.
About
okay.
half.
I thought you meant percent at
About
first.
half.
Yeah. About half. Got it. What Tad Williams are you reading? I'm guessing that's for Jimmy. Snazzy read a good amount of King. Tail Chaser's Song. That's like a book about a cat, right?
Yeah.
Is that like a kid's book? Or is it like
I don't know.
I've heard of it. For some reason in my head I associate it with like Watership Down because that's about rabbits. But it's like not super
It
for
might
kids.
be the Watership Down of cats.
Of cats.
I don't know.
Although did you guys ever read the Warriors series when you were a kid? middle
I
grade
didn't,
books.
but like all of the weird girls at school
Oh God.
loved those books.
Well, I don't want to say I was a weird girl at school, but I read like the first two, and they were pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. It's like a house cat like joins they join tribes of like fighter cats. Um, yeah, I thought it was cool. And then I remember one time, not that long ago, seeing at the library, there was like 40 books. I'm like, wow, it's really like read about fighter cats, get really into it.
Yeah, I don't know. I started reading Stephen King in fourth grade, so I missed out on all that stuff.
You got okay, I see. You wet your beak early on some. What was your first King book?
11/22/63.
Oh, okay, that's not that's a good
When I
one
was
to
10
like.
years old.
There's not too much in there that's like, oh God, like there's like a sex scene, I guess, but that's like
Yeah.
it's nothing like if you read. Honestly, like some parts of The Shining are pretty weird to
Yeah.
read as a young kid. It honestly.
I think I read it. I'd started it like when I was really young, like fifth or sixth grade or something, but I don't think I actually finished it um, until I was like a sophomore or something like that.
Gotcha. I don't think it's a kid's book. Is that Tail Chaser's Song? Oh, Tail Chaser's Song is by Tab Williams, isn't it? Now that I
Yeah.
think about it. Oh, okay, got it. Yeah, I've never heard of him writing a kid's book or anything. I have not read any Tad yet. I want to read.
You got to get on it.
You like him a lot? Did you read him just this year?
Yeah, I'm listening to Green Angel Tower right now.
Yeah, it's been good so far.
Yeah, I really like Dragonbone Chair.
Okay.
Stone of Farewell I thought was a little slower, a little meandering, but it seems that everyone else seems to think that it's better paced than book one. So I don't know.
Gotcha. I've
I
heard
feel like
that
I'm in the
people like
minority
it, but
on
it
that
is
one.
kind of considered a book two. Whether you
Yeah.
consider that, some people
Yeah.
like that kind of book two. Honestly, I like a quote unquote book two when it's done. It can be slow and meandering if it's done well. Like I know you probably won't ever get to this point, Kev, but Golden Fool, which is in Tawny Man, is book two. It's like the most book two you could ever ask for, but it was my favorite of the whole trilogy. You'll get there eventually when you realize you love Robin Hobb.
I don't know.
Dude, you must feel like such an outsider.
No, not anymore.
There's not that many people who don't like Robin Hobb, really. She's one of, I would say, almost like 95% of people who make it through like Farseer, like love Robin Hobb.
I know I at least got Ben and Taylor on my side. So.
Oh, they don't like Robin Hobb either?
No.
Okay.
And they both read the whole series, so.
Okay. Oh wow. They went all the way through. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't know if I could hate read that long.
Ben was messaging me as he was reading the last one. I forget which. I don't know what the titles are, but the last book. And he was like, I was gripping onto the book so hard, I was about to just tear it apart because he was so angry.
To get to the end of a fifth, was it 16, 15, 16?
16 books.
16 books and be like, this whole thing sucks. I would be pissed.
And then Taylor read like the last 7 books in like 2 weeks just to get him over with.
Oh wow.
That's extreme hate reading.
I'm reading Rainwild. I'm on Rainwild Chronicles, and I wish that the audio. It's not. I actually like the first book, but knowing it's a quartet, I don't know how it'll shake out for me. But it's considered like the slog of the series, and I really wish that it had a decent audiobook. The audio recordings are split up who does them, and the guy who does the Fitz books is really good, and the lady who does the like live ship and Rainwild's books is apparently terrible. I haven't even read Robin Hobb yet. Yeah, definitely check out Robin Hobb because again, you have a pretty decent chance of liking her stuff.
I still need to get through Assassin's Quest because I do want to at least try live ship because I like pirates and ships.
Oh, you'll like. Stuff. I think you'll like live ship. I think. Oh, man.
But dude, Assassin's Quest is such a huge barrier because every time I'm like, you know what, maybe I'll do it, and then I look at the audiobook and I'm like, it's 37 hours.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't like Assassin's Quest very much. Like, I really liked it at the start. I really liked the first like third to half of it, but the second half was like, really long and weird for how long it is. It is super, super unsatisfying in some ways. Put it that way. So take that as you will. Not to drive you off. But if you had a hard time with the first two, it's hard for me to imagine you loving the third.
I liked Assassin's Apprentice. I actually like that one quite a bit. But
That was my favorite of the first series.
It's also only 400 pages.
It's very quick. It's quick.
And then I didn't like Royal Assassin. So
I liked Royal Assassin a lot. I liked the ending. I think my issue with Royal Assassin was I can't really spoil much, but there were some repetitive things in it that happened because there's like it has some like more fast-paced moments, but overall the whole series is relatively slow in pace. And there are times where I'm like, this thing is repeating it over and over again. And I'm like, we could really be moving the story along. But by the end, I really loved the book. But Assassin's Apprentice as a single book was so concise and like just perfect to me. But a lot of people don't love it. Let's see, just read Live Ship. I think Kev may like it. Hey, there's no RA hate going on here.
Shad, I know I don't have to read Assassin's Quest, but at the same time, I have to read Assassin's Quest to go on to the next one. It's just a me thing.
You should do it, and then you can at least, you can totally round out your feelings, at least on Farseer, and say, I didn't like it. This is why. Because if you didn't and you stopped after book 2, people would be like, well, you never finished the trilogy. How can you say you didn't like Farseer? So, just back yourself up. Come with the receipts. I think you'll like Live Ship. I mean, you don't mind slower stuff, right? If it's done well.
It depends. It's got to be good. I mean, obviously, Stephen King's my favorite author. He's got some slow stuff.
Right.
He does that slice of life I like. Malazan can be pretty slow at times.
Yeah.
It's my favorite series. But at the same time, I didn't like Rhythm of War because I thought it was too slow. So
it's all just about what hits right with you. But yeah, I think you have a decent just because you like pirates, like just liking the nautical thing could very well, like, you might switch. And also it's just being like third person and kind of like a bigger cast of characters and just kind of just overall wider scope than in Farseer. You could, I know that people will say it's almost like a contained story, and it kind of is. Yeah, there's a decent chance you'll like it. Fave King book. Mine's, depending on the day, going to be The Stand or 11/22/63. They're like literally, they own 2 spots in my top 5 books, and they could probably switch any day.
Yep, mine would literally be 11/22/63 or It. I cannot pick. I can't pick between them. They are
so different, but so good.
Hands down, my 1 and 2 favorite books of all time. So
that's the thing about King. Yeah, Jimmy here with 11/22/63. It's weird because like we read a lot of series and stuff like that, and I look at my favorite books list, and like there's not a ton of books that are like, oh, book 3 in that series or book 2 in that series. But then I just have these King standalones that just stand out as like, that's one of my favorite books.
Yeah,
that's the thing about defining series versus a single book.
I think I have my.
Dolores Claiborne.
Let me see.
I've read it. I haven't read Dolores Claiborne. I liked it. I'd say I gave it like 4.5 stars. I loved it. It was good. There are certain times where I felt a little less invested, particularly when they were adults. But the kids stuff, I
some
of the segments in the kids sections are some of the best stuff you'll ever read. Honestly, it is so good.
Yeah, it's weird with it because even though it, depending on the day, could be my 1 or 2 favorite number 1 or 2 favorite book. There are things that like I don't like chapter 3. That chapter's like 120 pages, and I don't really like it at all.
Is that Ben's chapter?
No, that's 6 phone calls.
Oh, got it.
Dude, I don't like that chapter.
That's like, is that when they kind of, not to spoil things, but it's like they kind of zoom into each adult life and like,
yeah,
okay.
And then, there's some really weird stuff in there.
There is definitely. A couple years ago, I don't think I even read it yet, but I knew about some of the very weird things that happened toward the end without getting too specific. And it was right around when the movies were coming out. And I have a nephew who was like 11 or 12 at the time, and he loved Pennywise. Like, he was just like a character that like kind of like Five Nights at Freddy's. Kids who just like Pennywise, even if they didn't see the movies. And so my sister-in-law, so his mom, got him It, like this 1,000-page chunker. So probably not too far off the age you read it.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, does she know like what happens like towards like what some of the things in that book. Like I don't know if she knew. I don't think he ever actually read it, or he didn't get very far if he did. But I was like, oh shit, should I speak up? Like, I mean, he loves Pennywise. How can I stop him? But yeah, there's
Yeah.
some content in there that maybe aren't great for that age group. Shad, I want to read it. Shad, I highly recommend the audiobook. The guy who does the audio sounds like Bill Burr, the comedian, and does a really good job. He kind of has like a less serious undertone than a lot of
Yeah.
narrators. Something about it is a little bit more like kind of offbeat and whimsical, which is what you wouldn't think would go well with that kind of story, but I thought it worked well. And Jimmy, Shad works IT. That's good to know.
Yeah,
I'll call you next time I have an issue with my computer.
I listened to the audiobook when I reread it last year, or I've listened to parts of the audiobook, and I personally didn't like it, because like when I read it in my head, I have that more serious
Of course, yeah,
like narration, and
yeah.
then he was excited about every
I
single
know,
thing going on in this book.
it's true. He's really good for like that tone was so good for a couple of the kids like Richie.
Yeah.
Like it was like the perfect, like if he could have just narrated Richie, he'd be the perfect guy for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are definitely some moments where it's like, okay, this feels, the tone is not matching the content, and then he'll switch into like scary monster voice, and you're like, well, okay, like this guy can do that too. All right, like jack of all trades here.
Like when Bill is like, whenever he's thinking about Georgie, spoiler alert, literally chapter 1 of the book, but whenever he's thinking about Georgie, he's like, oh my god, Georgie's dead. Oh, I'm like, bro,
Yeah,
chill
yeah.
out.
You kind of nail the voice, like the uprising voice.
Oh, I wish Georgie didn't get mauled.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
dude, bring it down
I'm an
just like a notch.
audiobook person, but I actually read it physically. Yeah, I mixed it in together. That was the only way I was going to tackle it back when I did it. It's a mammoth of a book for sure. I think it's what, like 100 pages shorter than The Stand, but in some ways felt longer than The Stand to me.
Yeah,
Just
it's
based on kind of the bounce back and forth between the adults and kids felt long towards the end.
I think it's about 30,000 words less than the
Okay,
stand.
really
So
close then. It's actually
yeah.
not far off at all. Alrighty, well, prevent us from ruining everyone's reading night. Let's go back into another sprint. Say till like 9. All right. Again, not in the right time zone. Sorry, but I'll put it for another half hour or so. Okay. How we doing? How's Tommy Knockers?
Not bad yet.
Not bad yet. Got it.
Yeah.
Dude, I
I'm
love The
like,
Winter King. It's good.
yeah, I'm on page 43, so
Nice.
not bad
Is
yet.
that the mass market?
Yeah, it's like one of the old ones.
Oh, I've definitely seen that one at the bookstore before.
I had to track it down on eBay.
Oh, you were
I
looking
wanted
for it?
yeah, I wanted hold on. I really like these ones. I know they're not very popular, but like when I got into Stephen King, these were the ones that were available. And so
Yep.
I have like a special place in my heart for these ones. But I couldn't find this one, so I got this one instead.
It's really funny you say that because the very first time I even remotely got into Stephen King was probably, well, I'm older than you by at least a few years, but I was around that same age, like 13, 12-ish. And I had a friend who we both decided we were going to read his. I think we watched actually know what it was. We watched the It miniseries from the 90s. And so then we thought we were going to go crazy and read all his books. And he gave me that exact copy of it. It's still at my parents' house. So I know exactly what. And Pennywise looks weird as hell on the front. He's got like, it's not the way you imagine
He looks
Pennywise.
emo.
Yeah, it's like almost more like a mime, actually.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. But yeah, I know the exact copies you're talking about. I see those pop up from time to time with various King stories in that format from like I guess it was like the late 2000s when those must have been coming out. That like line of King
like
books.
I got a couple of them. I really want The Stand and Insomnia in those editions. But they are like really hard to find.
Real dude, I saw the Stand one
way
of that
harder
at an
to find.
Airbnb one time.
Way harder to find than the really old ones like this one or like the OGs.
Yeah, I saw the Stand version of that, which I hadn't seen before, randomly at like an Airbnb on a bookshelf. I also saw I have Everything's Eventual up there, like the hardcover, and I swiped that from an Airbnb. Not gonna lie, because they had like a wall of books of like random crap, like anything. I'm like, oh, these are for guests to read. So I just was like, well, they're not gonna know if Everything's Eventual is missing. So I should have put Talisman back up there, teach them a lesson.
Yeah,
don't leave a good for real book out there. But yeah, the Stand, when I saw it there, it was in really bad condition, but it was that same line that you showed me.
Yeah, they're so hard to find. I'll look on eBay every now and then, trying to find some, and they're just all completely tore up. I'm like, well, I'm not buying that.
It's cool that you like the mass market paperbacks because, I mean, personally, I don't really mind them that much. Sometimes I think they're cool. I have like Perdido Street Station in mass market, and it's the tiniest mass market I've ever owned. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. It is like so tiny. Like, here's my hand, like, and it's like 600 pages. I don't know how long the book normally is, but I squeeze a lot into a really tiny book.
My copy of Perdido is like 850 pages, and it's a UK trade.
Oh,
so
okay. So maybe this just has really.
It's a decently long book.
Yeah, it's got some tiny font here. But I actually prefer this. It's like really small and like compact. I'm probably actually going to be reading. I'm probably going to do this maybe late this month or early next month. Did you do the audio for it?
I did part audio.
Is it any good?
It's John Lee, so yeah,
oh, okay.
I liked it. The first book is John Lee, and I like him. Books 2 and 3 are Gildart Jackson, and he is so good.
Okay, so it gets better.
He's like really good, yeah.
Nice. I think Airbnbs are like free little libraries. I have to agree, honestly. I also, have you ever seen the free little libraries, or do I just live in like major suburbia? I will legitimately
my small
stop.
town has one.
Yeah, there's a couple that I know. Like, there's like 2 in my parents' neighborhood. I will stop every time to check. I got The Bear and the Nightingale. Forget the name of the trilogy, but it's like the Russian fantasy trilogy.
Winter Night.
Winter Night. Yeah, that I found one of those in one of those. I was like, score. Like, not expect to see that. A lot of kids books in them, and obviously like Clive Cussler and like all those like major, ones
Clive
you see
Cussler, James Patterson,
exactly.
Let's go. Yeah. Tom Clancy,
Kuntz, exactly. I enjoy reading mass market. I like buying used ones. Spines are yeah, that's what you'll mostly see at a lot of thrift stores and used bookshops. Kev, if you ever come down to visit around where Jimmy and I live, our used bookshop has like literally a wall. It's like tall, but not super wide. But it's like a wall of King mass market paperbacks um, that they sell. They cycle through their hardcovers of King there. I think me, Jimmy, and then there's definitely a few other people who are consistently checking for like the first editions that come through there. But the wall of mass markets is like you could find almost any book in his catalog on
Oh,
there.
I would go crazy there. I'd
Because no,
spend the
most
whole
people don't
savings
care
account.
about mass market. I've never bought a
Yeah,
mass market of his on purpose. Like one time, I think I got The Shining mass market just because I wanted to read it. But since I've started like collecting more King, I don't really buy his mass market stuff.
yeah. Like out of all of my King books, like I have a first edition of it, but this is like my It Holy Grail because obviously I don't have the 25th anniversary edition. That's like my holy grail of all books.
Right.
But this is like the original mass market paperback of it, and it's completely unread.
I remember you posting something about that. That's actually
Yeah,
super awesome.
this
Don't even
thing's
don't even
like
touch that spine.
this thing is over like oh, I don't know, 15 years older than I am.
Right.
So
That's sick. Yeah, you can't read that one.
yeah, I have like I don't know 9 copies of this book. So
That's so funny. I'm trying to think. Oh, so at that bookshop I was telling you about, I've gotten a couple first edition King. I got like Gerald's Game first edition. That one I know was I have a feeling was unread because when I got it, it had a receipt from the original purchase of some bookshop in like Minnesota from 1992 or three, whenever the book came out. So I'm like, all right, first
damn,
edition, first printing. No one's read it, and then I picked up 5, 6, and 7 of the Dark Tower in first edition, and I was like, "Oh, sweet! Now I just get the first 4. Like, I'll get the whole set so easily."
yeah,
And then like got home and like was like doing research, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm never gonna be able to get
yeah.
anything like the first 4 first
The
edition."
last 3 Dark Tower are pretty easy to find, but those
Yeah.
first 4, I really want the like the Viking reprint hardcovers
Mm-hmm.
that came out like around the same time the last 3 books did. But even
Mm-hmm.
those are like 150 to $200 a piece. And then if
Seems
you
like
want
that's
true
an
first
alternative
editions,
for a
it's
lot of
yeah.
people.
If you want true first editions, you're looking at 1,000 plus pretty much for each book.
Yeah, I think the Gunslinger there really aren't many left of first edition.
Yeah,
I think,
there were only like 5,000 copies of Gunslinger, so
yeah,
they're expensive.
yeah. I think I remember Baron saying that it was like the original hardcover was like released like mostly in Maine when it
Yeah,
first came out, and so it's like good luck. Like if somebody has one, they're selling it for like big money.
yeah. I think the true first edition is signed and limited to 500, and then there was a trade first edition
Right.
that I think was 10,000. So
Seems like a lot of people will flesh out with the Viking hardcovers, and it's like, oh,
yeah,
it's better than nothing. At least it like completes like the hardcover set.
yeah, I would like to get those, but even then they don't match the last 3. So
It's true.
you just kind of
Yeah.
got to roll with it.
Yeah. Take what you can get. All right. Well, are you good for? I'm good for like one more sprint, and
Yeah,
then
I can do one more. And
all
then I
right.
gotta gotta go to bed.
Yeah, dude, I'm tired. It's as dumb as it sounds. I didn't think sprints would be like tiring, but like reading without stopping, like my
Yeah,
brain gets sleepy. Who would have thought? I cannot read like anywhere near bedtime or like in bed, or I will just fall asleep. So that's why I'm glad to be
yeah.
sitting up in a chair.
Anytime I like actually read like without sprints, I'm checking my phone like every 10 minutes. So
Yeah, I totally feel that. Yeah, it's a plague on our society. I need to set my phone away if I really want to get some good reading done. But that's the beauty of sprints; it forces you to do that. All right, check in with you in a half hour. That one felt like it went by really fast.
Huh.
How we doing? Tell me you hit some weird stuff that time.
Um, I wouldn't say it was like super weird, but it was, I don't know, 15 pages of sitting in like a veterinary clinic.
That sounds
So
like King.
yeah, and exciting stuff.
Yeah, yeah. He knows how to make something like that weirdly fun to read and exciting. Give you a diatribe on the vet's background and all the weird stuff they do, and
Yeah, there's
suddenly
like
you feel like you know.
there's like 2 whole pages of the main character thinking about her previous vet that had seen her dog for like 10 years but then retired. I'm like,
All
this
right.
guy's not even a character.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, let's spend 2 pages on him.
I'm sure that's just a sneak preview of what's in store for you in that one. 59% into a House of Good Bones. I think I got through like 30 something pages total. This copy of The Winter King has like really like a lot of text per page, which I
Yeah.
don't know if what I prefer. If I prefer like a smaller book with fewer words per page, so you feel like you're making progress faster, or like trick your brain and like reading 30 in this book might be more like reading like 40 or 45 in a smaller book. I don't know. I don't know what works better for me. Do you like Bobby and Guard, Kev? I could never decide.
Well, I'm not very far into it yet, since I just started. I'm on page 57, so I don't really have a book on him. I'm gonna say probably not Guard because there's like a thing that's, I don't know. He just kind of seems like a real ass. Even though he hasn't like actually popped up in the book, it's just Bobby thinking about him so far. Um, so yeah, Bobby doesn't seem too bad. She seems a little dumb though, but we'll see.
Any aliens yet?
Not yet. There's some weird stuff going on, but not yet.
I'd love to see. I guess Dreamcatcher is also aliens. I was just trying to think. Like, did King ever have like a really solid alien book?
I don't think so.
No, I think he could. He could land it.
Uh, this one's 750 pages. So, but I'm doing this and Dreamcatcher back to back. So
Oh, nice.
yeah,
I actually watched the. I never read Dreamcatcher, but I watched the movie in like middle school, like age 11, 12, 13. I actually like really
yeah.
liked the movie, so I was like, should I read
That's
the
when I
book?
watched it, and I liked it then. I'm sure it's
Yeah,
probably not as good, but 12-year-old me didn't care.
right.
So
Read 7 pages in one book and listened to 30 minutes of my audiobook Valor by John Gwynn. Oh, you're doing a reread of Faithful and the Fallen. Nice. Is that still on the docket for you, Kev? You didn't do Faithful and the Fallen?
I don't know. I don't know. If I do, it's probably won't be anytime soon. I've only read Shadow of the Gods. Right? Is
Gotcha.
that the first one? Yeah,
Yeah.
Shadow of the Gods, which I really liked that one. And then by the time Hunger of the Gods came out, I just didn't have time for it. So I think I'll probably just wait for book 3 to come out, and then I'll do that trilogy, and then I might go back and do Faithful and the Fallen. But
Nice.
it's
Yeah,
just
that was
so
pretty
much stuff
much.
I want to read more.
I feel that. Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing with Bloodsworn. I read the first one when it first came out because the hype was crazy. And it was really good. I really liked it. But by the time book 2 came out, and it's such a silly thing, but reading a brand new book when it comes out and having to wait like a year and a half or more possibly for uh, the next book, I always forget everything. And then I go into the next book and sometimes I'm like, I don't remember anything and I can't have fun. So I'm going to just probably go back and do the whole trilogy when the third book comes out, reread the
Yeah,
first one.
yeah, that's what I do. I mean, I Shadow of the Gods was like right when I started actually getting back into reading again. So it was like perfect for me. I know a lot of people like Faithful and the Fallen was their getting back into reading book, and it was Shadow of the Gods for me. So John Gwynn just seems to rope people in, and that's like the only book I've ever taken notes for. So
Nice.
I have extensive notes on that one. I probably don't need to reread it.
There you go. Well, that helps. Yeah, for me, Faithful and the Fallen, I put it off for a long time. It's definitely one of those like gateway series where it's like, oh, you just read, Mistborn, or you just read Lord, like something early on, kind of getting into fantasy, and it just never materialized for me at that point in my reading. So I just read it end of last year, going into this year, and I definitely think I would have loved it more if it had been like my first series.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things about it. There's a lot of things that are done very, very well. I don't know if it does anything better than another series, but it gets like, B plus to A on like a lot of different aspects overall. In a way that if it was one of your first series, it would probably completely knock your socks off.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm hesitant to read it. Because like I've read a lot of stuff since then, and
Exactly.
I know like I'm probably not gonna like it as much.
Yeah, and honestly, Shad, I did read it. Yeah, I read it like last year going into this year. But it's I liked it a lot. I actually loved the first book. Malice is like super good, like cozy starting fantasy book vibes. And by the end, I liked book 3. Book 4 and 2, I think I gave 4 stars. They were just they were good, but they really didn't, like, they weren't crazy to me. And overall, I think I did like the series, but by the end, I definitely think my experience reading fantasy took something away from it, just because I've seen this before in some ways. So you might have the same reaction. And I know Alex from Tall Guy Reads kind of had the same feeling, where by the end we were just like kind of good with it ending. Yeah.
Yeah, like I've gone through a couple big series now. Like realistically, I will probably read it and be like, "Well, this isn't Malazan.
Yeah, it's definitely not.
This isn't Tad Williams."
But he does a lot good. Like, again, some of the best action in fantasy for sure. Decent characters. I mean, the world building's relatively generic, but there's some cool stuff with like giants and like Celtic lore and stuff like that. So it's not, I don't think there's anything bad about the series. It's just, it's not going to reach the heights that you're used to. Ben said, I wish the last book was a little bit more epic. I can kind of see that. I thought it was a solid ending, but it was definitely not like an amazing ending to me. I love the characters so much. I mean, yeah, there are definitely some characters I look back on that are like the kind that there's good villains. I'll give it that. And some of the protagonists are just so easy to root for. Like, you just want them to succeed. So it does that well. Shad does not think you'll like it very much. Shad's talking down his favorite series. He's like, you're not going to like it. Don't even blight it.
People say that to me like just about on every book. I'm like, where is this reputation coming from? I like most things I read.
Yeah, I'd say that's true.
I have an average rating of 4 stars this year, so
that's not bad. I mean, as long as it's not Eileen by Obtessa Mosfee.
Yeah, I mean,
or
biggest disappointment of the year right there.
Jimmy agrees. Gwynn's antagonists are good. I just they're just so easy to just hate so much. Overall, pretty compelling. Definitely some really good protagonists too that you just like. I just loved. What was his name? Makeen. There's a character named McQueen or McQueen. He's an awesome protagonist in the book. One of the kind of side protagonists, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see whenever you do get to it, your reactions.
Are the antagonists as hateable as Ken Follett antagonists?
Ooh,
because
similar level.
I've never
honestly,
hated characters so much.
I would honestly say like similar level.
Okay,
which is saying something because
that's moving it up a little bit.
Yeah,
that's moving it up a little bit.
God, I don't know if saying his name might spoil who one of the main villains is. Again, this is like, I mean, it is kind of like a broad story with like different groups and countries, and it does that whole epic feeling good for like a starter series. So there's multiple antagonists, but there's one that really stands out. It's just like you fucking hate him so much, like you really hate him.
All right, that's what I love.
It looks like Shots come in with a couple names of antagonists, and yeah, I agree with those ones. They're really easy to hate.
All right, if a book can get like a super visceral reaction out of me, it's a good book.
Yeah, you'll hate these villains for sure.
All right. Yeah, that'll move it up.
Yeah, yep. Jimmy agrees. Makeen is like one of the best characters to root for. Incredible arc.
See, the thing about it is, I've listened to the audiobook samples, and I don't like the narrator. So I would have to like physically read them, and I just don't read a lot of books with just my eyeballs. So
Yeah, I mixed audio for all of them. I did like hybrid or immersive, and it's like a, if I could give a narration stars like I would a book, I give it like 3.5 stars to maybe 4 stars narration. It's not the worst, but it's not the best. So Shad said sorry. It's okay, Shad. Now he knows they're good villains. He'll probably forget by the time he reads.
I won't
anyways.
remember.
It's not high on his PBR. No worries at all. Okay, apparently got inspired to write aspects of Under the Dome. Under the Dome has one of King's best antagonists, hands down.
I can see that.
Read. Do you agree
now
with
that you
guy?
say it, that's like plain as day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's just like one of the like true like this person could totally exist in real life and in a similar situation. I mean, not that any domes are dropping on towns here in the States anytime soon. At least we're not predicting that. But like this person, a person like the antagonist in this book could simply arise in that sort of like dog eat dog situation. Yeah, I'm excited to see everyone's reactions to reading that around Halloween. I listened to it on audio.
I cannot wait to reread. I cannot wait to reread that book.
It does. I'm not gonna like just like repeat what everyone says about the ending. It does so many things. Again, I'm saying this all night. It does a lot of things very well, and some of King's, I think, probably his best town building. Like for one town with one group of characters all quarreling or whatever you want to say, I haven't seen him do it better in another book. Obviously, he spends like 800 pages doing it, so
yeah,
better be good.
I mean, it's my third favorite King book, so
yeah, it is good. Such a good Simpsons movie novelization.
Dude, I love hearing him tell the story. I love hearing him tell the story about when he was writing that book because he wanted to do it for like 40 years. And then he wrote the book and he had never seen the Simpsons movie. And then like, I think it was like his daughter or something came over and like saw the manuscript sitting on the counter. And she was like, oh, Under the Dome, like the Simpsons movie. And he's just like, fuck. He's like, I didn't even know.
Old man King missing out on all the pop culture. What year did that come out? The actual book? I know the movie, the Simpsons movie was like 06 or 07 or something.
I think it was
09, 08-ish.
Duma Key was 09. Under the Dome, I think, was 2010.
Oh, okay, got it. For some reason, I thought it was older.
It was 2009.
Okay, 2009. So for some reason, I was like, is that like 04? Like, kind of like after the Dark Tower ended around that time?
Oh my! So it came out 2 years after the Simpsons movie.
Oh man! You know, everybody was like,
they're like, wait a minute, what is this?
Oh, I feel like that dome idea is like not. I feel like when I saw a Simpsons movie, I had like it didn't seem super original to me at that time. I feel like it was in like it's been brought up in like the Twilight Zone and various stuff like that. Jimmy is having a visceral reaction to something. All right.
Jimmy's spaced out right now, so.
Kai, 2005. Yeah, sounds like it was 2009. I feel like I haven't really read all that many other than Dark Tower and Under the Dome and like Revival. I'm trying to think of any of like King's more recent stuff that I've read. Have you read Revival?
Yeah, I read it this year. I think this year.
That's one of my favorite King books.
I liked it.
Yeah, I know. I think I remember how you felt.
People. Yeah.
Given the interesting nature of the way the story takes and what it's focused on in different parts of the book, obviously most of it is not horror, really. But I still really like those parts.
Yeah,
So if you don't, I don't know if that was your complaint, but I think some people go
I
into it
greatly
expecting
preferred
that.
like the first 2/3 of the book to the last third of the book, which I don't think
Oh,
is a popular opinion, but
gotcha. I thought you were going to say the reverse. A lot of people were like, first 2/3 are okay, and the last third is the best.
no, yeah, I loved him just being a down and out musician, working
Yes.
at
Okay.
this studio,
Yeah.
playing in a band. Give me all of it.
Yeah. That was all very good. The slice of life was awesome. And also he goes through eras, like decades, and he does that so well. He drops a little Dark Tower reference in it where the guy, the main character is a musician, not really a spoiler. They want to name their band the Gunslingers, but they change it to
Hmm.
something else. And I was like, I see what you're doing, Stevie.
The stock car they're fixing at the beginning is number 19.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I guess
Yep.
maybe I just didn't think about it. Contains King's scariest idea, IMO. Yeah, I agree. Like the peak of the horror for me, at least, is this wasn't like a consistent horror book, but the horror at its peak in this book is to me some of King's best, like in terms
Yeah,
of actually scaring you.
it was trippy.
Didn't land for you, it sounds like.
Yeah, it was trippy though.
Yeah, trippy in a way that could be could feel scary to some. Yeah, I'm trying to think what King I have left this year that I really want to read. I think I want to do the Dark Half, maybe around
Okay.
Halloween.
That's
That's
one
a
I
Castle
haven't
Rock
read
story,
yet,
right? You haven't read that one? Okay.
I think so.
What's the is need? I think Needful Things is connected to it.
Needful
Not
Things.
like
Needful Things is great.
Okay. I think I was gonna read that one, and then someone was like, "You need to read Dark Half first, or you should read Dark Half first."
You don't have to, but yeah, you should.
Okay. Got it. Yeah, I want to check
I
out
didn't,
those.
but I guess
Right.
you should.
I mean, it sounds like you did just fine with Needful Things.
Yeah, I think Dead Zone also kind of ties in a little bit, but
Okay. God, he has so many damn books. Like,
I
never read
don't
them all.
think Dead Zone is as important.
Okay, got it. Nice. You reading any other horror authors this year?
Oh, I don't know. I'm gonna start McCammon's Corbett series, even though that's not really horror. I guess he's a horror author, but it's not really a horror series. Other than that, I don't know. I was gonna do like all Stephen King all October, but I'm not gonna do that anymore. Outside of him, I don't read a whole lot of horror. Like I tried They Thirst by Robert McCammon, and I DNF'd that book. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I for the longest time, the only horror I read was King. So I'm now trying to venture out. Obviously, had Straub last year, which was a great like stepping stone because it kind of felt like King, but definitely like remarkably different in a lot of ways. I don't know the name of the author, but I want to read Let the Right One In. I don't know if you've heard of that.
oh yeah, John
Swedish.
Or no, I was literally just looking at that on Audible the other day.
Okay, yeah,
because it's Stephen Pacey.
Oh, sweet. Okay, I didn't even know that. All right, well, that definitely puts it on my put it as a audiobook possibility. Because I actually have never listened to anything Stephen Pacey.
Yeah,
So
John Lindquist.
Okay, yeah, it's like a vampire. They say it's one of the best vampire stories.
It's some Swedish stuff.
Ooh,
so
we know how the Swedes get down.
Yeah, I was looking at like Swedish authors after reading Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, that series. And I saw that one and I was looking at it. I was like, I should do that one.
Yeah, that was one I more just the title than the author itself, but author that I'm trying to get into is she's very modern and very trendy is Anya Alborn. And she writes horror just all over the map, like not one specific subgenre. I read Brother by her earlier this year, which is more probably like a horror thriller about like backwoods murdering family in like West Virginia. So it's not so much like paranormal, spooky stuff, but it's like very good
Wrote
family
a book
dynamic.
about Jimmy's family.
Oh God! Oh, yeah. It was good. And then I think I'm gonna read like just to totally flip that on its head. I want to read. I think it's called Seed by her, which is a possession, demonic presence horror book. So just see like how far her range can go because Brother was like very impressive.
Is that like a Dean Koontz ripoff? He has a book called Demon Seed. That's
Demon
like the
Seed? Oh
same thing.
God. Hopefully she just did it, but better, and you'll maybe not see it 50 times at every used bookstore. Jimmy got a laugh out of that. Mindolin, hello all. Yeah, I just want to. I love horror so much, and I especially like listening to horror because I feel like I get scared more. I don't know if you agree with
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but something about hearing the story being told to you makes my like body's like fear reactions kick in way more than just reading. So yeah, any horror audiobook recommendations, King or otherwise, send them my way because I love it. I loved, or I really, I would say I loved it, but I liked. Did you read The Only Good Indians?
Not yet.
Okay.
I need to read that for Evie though.
Okay, do it. Do it.
Because
It's definitely good. To me at least.
She read Of Mice and Men already, like last week. And she's going to read Boy's Life this month. So I need to read some Stephen Graham Jones for her. So
Okay. Yeah, I would say, I mean, that's the only one I've read by him, but I think it's typically a good starter book. Definitely one of his most popular, and the audio is awesome. I've heard that his style is tough for people a lot of the time coming into it, and I did not have any issue listening to that style versus reading it. So yeah, I'd recommend that. Has some weird stuff in it, but overall has some of the best, like, again, like that visceral horror reaction you get listening to a book. I got it pretty big time at a couple moments in Only Good Indians.
It's only 8.5 hours. So
yeah, it's quick. That's actually why I picked it up last year.
I just bought it. So
there you go. Hey,
it's like a day right there. We're chilling.
Kai, Neuropath. Okay. I don't know if I've heard of that one.
That's R. Scott Baker.
Okay, so outside of Second Apocalypse, I'm assuming,
Yep.
like just another. Oh God! Based on what I hear about Second Apocalypse, I'm a little nervous to see what this guy could do with like horror, like being his primary genre he's going for.
Yeah, I really want to read that one. But like, it's almost impossible to find a physical copy of that book. And I don't own a Kindle, and I don't like reading like ebooks, so I have no clue if I'll ever get to it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's I read mostly on Kindle, so at least I know I can find it. I'll call you over Discord and read it to you. Does that sound all right? All right.
Yeah,
sweet.
that works.
I'll do all the voices. Did you read? You've read Second Apocalypse, right?
I've read the first trilogy, just Prince of Nothing.
Gotcha. I figure it's like, I mean, every big series in this hobby, you'll probably get around to eventually, but that's definitely going to not be until after I finish Malazan.
Yeah, don't do what Jimmy and I did and read Prince of Nothing in the middle of Malazan. So
yeah, you guys are insane.
It was worth it though. Two very good series.
I know they're completely different. They just get kind of lumped together because they have some more complex things going on.
Yeah,
even though they're really different.
So I don't know. They're really different, but like the world building and density of it, I guess, are really what people compare them to.
Jimmy says he also has a first of it. I'm assuming it's
Jimmy's flexing on me.
Not the mass market, probably.
I think he has a hardcover.
Gotcha. Warrior Prophet. So it's a quartet, right? Sequel quartet.
The first one's just a trilogy, and then the sequel is 4 books.
Got it.
So Kai's on Prince of Nothing, book 2.
Oh, okay. Warrior Prophet. For some reason, I thought Warrior Prophet was the name of the second series. Second Apocalypse is phenomenal. Yeah, I remember Jimmy really actually, Jimmy, you got me a little interested when you talked about one of the books as your book of the year at the end of last year when you were doing the thing with there's a head on a stake behind you. Like that got me like kind of interested in it, not gonna lie. Hardcover. Judging
I know. I think that's book 1 of the sequel trilogy, I think, or sequel quartet. I'm waiting on Kai to catch up, and then we'll read it together.
Nice. And isn't the sequel series also hard to find in some, like the third and fourth book?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Damn, I don't know. I can't even find the second book now because freaking Jimmy and Philip and Joanna all decided they were going to start reading the books and making YouTube videos. Now they're hard to find.
That's too funny. Judging Eye literally blew me away with how good it was compared to Prince of Nothing. Is there supposed to be another book coming out in that or something? This discussion of it?
He wants to do like a duology to finish it up, but he hasn't written anything in like years. So
oh wow. Judging Kai. Kai's name goes with everything. It's so unfair.
I know, dude.
I always try to think of creative things to like include and pat in, like a character in a book I'm reading or a title of something. You know, put it as my Discord name.
Like, what am I supposed to do with this? Am I supposed to be the Kevy Knockers? Because I don't know how I'm feeling about that one.
Tommy Knockevs. Not good enough.
I know, Jimmy. It's literally right here.
He ain't ever writing again. Well, can somebody give us a spoiler-free assessment? Is it okay if he doesn't write again? Like, if the second series is the last, are we comfortable with that? I'll wait for a response. Kai, it's my one superpower. I love the ending note. Okay. All right. That's good to know. It's not okay when you finish. It's okay a month later. Okay. Those are the best kind of endings sometimes, honestly. On perpetual sprint for the will of the many because it's king and being. Oh, no.
Ryan, not a fan.
We've alienated Ryan. Sorry, Ryan. Hope the will of the many's good, though.
That's one I would like to get to at some point. His Lycanius like always drew my eye because those covers are really cool. They stand out.
Same.
They stand out.
Yeah.
And then like I've always wanted to read those books, and then everyone just started dumpstering it, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I actually thought I might read them this year, and then kind of back and forth on. I'd hear one thing that made me think I'd like them a lot, and then I'd hear another thing, and I'd be like, I don't know. I have so many other trilogies or shorter series that could fill that slot that I don't know if it'll take it.
Yeah, I do want to try Will of the Many though, because I've heard it's kind of like Red Rising meets I don't know something else. I don't remember what, but a little bit of Red Rising kind of stuff in there.
Jimmy's got some fighting words here. I don't even know if Jimmy's read Will of the Many.
I don't think he has.
Jimmy was like, mid fits in there perfectly. Let's do that. Yeah, I know a month or two ago when everyone got on like the Dark Age Iron Gold train to like catch up for Lightbringer. I believe Jimmy and I may have been calling a certain series mid rising. But I take that back now just because I couldn't possibly squash people's love for the second series. So, and I'm actually excited to read the second half of the series, even though I was lukewarm on the first trilogy. I haven't read. I don't read. Okay.
I'm not like a real binger. I don't go through series straight through like hardly ever. And I've done it twice this year. So one was all of the first 5 Red Rising books in a month. And then the Millennium trilogy back to back to back. So
nice. All right, here's a question for you all, for you howlers. Is it called Light Space Bringer just to differentiate it from Lightbringer, the series?
Yeah.
Okay. And how mad is Brent Weeks these past month or two?
He's got to be fuming.
I mean, if I were him, I would call up Pierce Brown and be like, hey man, aren't we on the same team here? Because no one's ever going to talk about my series again.
That's the point, I think.
It's going to be like,
no one should want to.
The other Lightbringer, the one that's like 5 or 6 books, is totally taken over by a single book.
Brent Weeks should have wrote some better books.
When I call anything mid, I'm usually being stupid. Yeah, sometimes it's fun to just call things mid to get a rise out of some people. I don't always mean it either. Mad. Yeah, he's got to be. I mean, he hasn't really recovered. I think he tried to bring back Night Angel. or something. Brent Weeks. I don't know if he
Yeah.
ever really fully recovered, because I know that people loved Lightbringer for a while, and it got like kind of Game of Thrones season 8 syndrome when the
Yeah.
book dropped, and it had mostly mixed reaction. That might even be calling it better than it was, mixed reaction.
I
I don't
I know
ever
a
hear
lot of
anything
people.
about that
I
series.
know a lot of people like the first 4 books, like really
Right.
genuinely loved like the first 3, and then the fourth was good, and then I don't think I've ever heard a single good thing about the last book. People hate that book.
Oh, I'm getting a lot of comments coming in about Brent Weeks. Shad likes Lightbringer. Okay. You got to
Shad likes a
reinvigorate.
lot of
You got to
things, though.
reinvigorate Brent Weeks series Lightbringer, because right now there's another book that's sort of owning that name. Pierce put Brent Weeks out of business. Yeah. Damn. Yeah, Night Angel Nemesis. He like just came out with a sequel to that, which I think is more YA anyways, but
Yeah, I don't think that was well received either.
oof,
So
Lightbringer. Brent Jeeves. Ooh, well, if he wasn't dead before this whole Lightbringer business, Kai just put him in the grave with that one. Sorry, Brent. Definitely.
that's true.
Yep. It's definitely got to be happening. I'm gonna try Lightbringer eventually. Yeah, maybe you'll report back that it's aged better than we maybe thought. The ending was okay. Wow.
I
Didn't even, he was like, these can't even grace the shelf. These are not going to be seen in the background of my videos. Let's have somebody else have their day ruined by reading them.
I'm not gonna lie, I would give those books a shot simply because they look really good on the shelf.
They do.
They look
Yeah.
really good.
And honestly, the whole idea behind the series, when I first heard about it,
I don't even know what
it
it's
was,
about.
well, it's okay. At this point, I don't think hard and soft magic systems need to be talked about anymore, because it's pretty much like Sanderson versus almost everybody else. Like most books you read are soft magic, but Lightbringer is like, I think, a very hard magic system that has all to do with light
Oh.
and color and bending light and like powers of light doing certain things, and like it was pretty in depth, and I know a lot of people really loved it.
So it's
Um,
literally just Warbreaker and Stormlight put
oh
together.
shit! No, now Brent Weeks is really dead if his yeah, I don't know how much it relates to the
Hold on,
Cosmere
we
magic.
gotta check when these books came out. This is too much of a
He's
coincidence.
he's Brent Weeks has a hit list of other fantasy authors stealing his ideas.
Well,
The
I mean,
community book box at the park.
book one.
You couldn't even like get those to like trade them in at the bookstore or something. You were like, these have to go for free.
Book one did come out in 2010, which is same year as Way of Kings came out.
Okay.
So, oh no, I think there's some beef between him and Sando, because I remember hearing that he was like salty that Brando did his magic system better.
Wow.
So
Here's a revelation from Ben. Today I learned that Americans say pet the cat and we say pat the cat. I definitely can't. Well, I think that putting the word pat into everyday language is much better than just pet. So I say the Australians do it right.
I don't know. That seems biased to me.
I don't know. What could it possibly make you think that? World apart in more ways than one. I think Brent Weeks is actually more popular than you all think. I'm sure you're right about that, Shad. I mean, especially for people who are new to the genre and like go back to like videos like Daniel Green's top 10 series for new readers or whatever. It probably still makes some lists there and stuff, and people will read it. I just know in like our corner of like booktube and like you know Jimmy Allen, like this group that we all kind of follow, I don't see it getting read anymore. That's just
Yeah,
my
he gets
observation.
dumpstered
Yeah, if it gets
dumpstered in our
mentioned, it's
corner.
kind of memed on, especially now with Light Spacebringer. So definitely wouldn't be surprised if Brent Weeks still sold Audible audiobooks and stuff on Amazon, but I just don't know anyone myself reading them.
I know Joe liked the Brent Weeks series, so
Oh, okay.
Joe also has a pretty different taste than most of us, though.
Yeah. Gotta ask the English who decided to switch it up. Certifiably middle of the mall shit. Yeah, so like highly marketable, bought by people. Huge seller in the genre, probably up there with Abercrombie. Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, Shad, like when you say it was one of your top authors in 2013, when I first started reading fantasy in like late 17, early 18, he was still talked about as like, these are the series you have to read. King Killer, like early Brandon Sanderson, Brent Weeks. Like before all these, now we have a way more choice. At least it feels like there's been a lot more series that have gotten popular over time. But I remember when Brent Weeks was big. When I want to say like the last Lightbringer book release was like an event in the way that a lot of these new releases we see are with like Light Space Bringer and when Joe Abercrombie was releasing Age of Madness, like people read it and they just didn't love it for the most part. Thought Night Angel was okay when I read it. Probably like them. I have a tendency to enjoy the hated on stuff. I mean, I've heard that it's the first 3 are like very good, like very, very good. So just a matter of if the last couple will take away anything from that for you. I don't know how we've been going for almost 3 hours. It does not feel like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Whenever
It
I do
feels like
sprints,
2.
it's like an hour and a half max.
What's that?
Whenever I like stream sprints, it's like an hour and a half max.
Yeah, I mean, if you had told me it was an hour and a half that we'd been on here or 2, I would believe you. It doesn't feel like 3, but I will probably cut out here. Thanks for joining me, Kev. I hope you all got some reading done. Sorry, Shad. I know you like Brent Weeks. Maybe he'll have a return sometime. I'm sure of it. All right. See you, everybody.
Yep. See you
later.